Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today we're going to preview the San Francisco 49ers week number 10 matchup against the NFC West rival Los Angeles Rams, and what surely is, through what will be 10 weeks of the NFL season, the biggest game on San Francisco's schedule thus far. If they win, they will at least be in second place in the NFC West and will hold the tiebreaker over the Los Angeles Rams throughout the rest of the 2025 season. When you sit back and ask yourself which game on the schedule through now 10 weeks has maybe the biggest playoff implications, it's this one. This is what will probably be the saying for the rest of the year as each week comes and goes, the biggest game of the year, thus far for the San Francisco 49ers. Although it isn't a must-win game, winning this one will make your life a heck of a lot easier if you are the red and gold. Coming out of the trade deadline, no moves were made, but Bryce Huff is set to come back for San Francisco, who through, again, 9 weeks now this year is 6-3 on the season. They've already beaten the Rams 26-24 in week number 5. They currently sit in third place, a half a game behind the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks for first place atop the NFC West division. And they are in sixth place in the NFC wild card hunt. They are in the thick of it, and this game could go a long way into determining where San Francisco finishes when the season is said and done. Like I already stated, they already hold a tiebreaker over the Rams. Winning this game will be a chance to sweep them and keeping that tiebreaker over LA throughout the remainder of the season. Unfortunately for San Francisco, the injuries have not subsided. No Micah Williams. He is now done for the year. And it doesn't look like Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, or Brandon Aiyuk are ready to return just yet. It's a big game. The returns, the reinforcements have yet to arrive, and the Rams are having what is right now maybe one of the best years of anybody in the league. They are 6-2, tied for first place with the Seattle Seahawks atop the NFC West. They have won 3 consecutive games. They have the 8th highest scoring offense in the NFL and are basically completely healthy with just one guy on the injury report. They are missing one starter, that being cornerback Ahkello Witherspoon. But besides that, it's a pretty clean slate of health for the LA Rams. Meanwhile, their defense is holding opposing offenses to under 16 points a game, the second lowest clip and second to only the Houston Texans. Yeah, the Rams are a pretty good team, if you ask me. And I really would not argue with you if you told me the Rams are going to eviscerate the 49ers in week number 10. Matthew Stafford is playing at an MVP type level. Puka, Nacua, and Davante Adams are both healthy, and the Rams defense is playing at a very high clip on top of that. The Rams have the advantage on paper, and if we're being honest, at most positions, not on paper, in actual real life when it comes to the games being played. I can argue the only places San Francisco has the advantage is the cornerback room, tight end, and running back, which 3 positions doesn't really bode well for San Francisco's chances in this game. But even if you look at the last time San Francisco beat the Rams, it took overtime to get there and 2 miraculous stops inside San Francisco's red zone, one being a 4th down stop via the way of Chase Lucas and Marquise Siegel to stop Kyren Williams on a run on 4th down to what could have been securing a victory for the Rams. The other one was an Alfred Collins goal line 1-yard forced fumble to get the ball back for San Francisco, which led to an overtime period in that game. Now you add in, there's no Fred Warner. He's not playing in this one, and things get really scary for a Niner team. But you have to play the games. And in the NFL, there's a saying, any given Sunday. That rings especially true against the Rams in week number 10. So I'm going to detail why the Niners can fend off the Rams and hold on to their tiebreaker this season, and also why San Francisco could lose this game and drop to 6-4 against the NFC West division rival, making their playoff hunt a little harder in the process. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's finally preview the San Francisco 49ers week number 10 matchup against the NFC West division rival Los Angeles Rams. And to put it quite frankly, I'm worried. I'm scared. There's so many reasons as to why San Francisco could and quite frankly probably should lose this game. On defense, the Niners are going to have their hands full with Matthew Stafford. He's an awesome quarterback. He's just tremendous. It doesn't matter if you have a pass rush or not. He's going to make you pay. Even when San Francisco beat them earlier this season, there's a reason why the Rams came storming back late in that game in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, because Matthew Stafford, the switch was flipped, and he's been that way pretty much ever since. He's been that way pretty much the entire year. He has been the lifeblood of the Rams offense. Their offense runs through him for obvious reasons. He's 37 years old and is showing no signs of slowing down. For all the talk of the back injury, for all the talk of here's Father Time. No. Matthew Stafford is probably playing as the best quarterback in football, not named Josh Allen. And you can even argue might be outplaying Patrick Mahomes and might be the favorite to win the MVP thus far. That's how good Matthew Stafford has been this year. It's how good he's been for most seasons, maybe outside of 2024, but he's on one once again in 2025. And if we're being honest, if we're being just quite blunt, I don't really think it matters if San Francisco had a pass rush anyway. Obviously it does, and like literally it does. Getting pressure on the quarterback, getting him off their spot certainly helps you win football games. It can force some interceptions, it can force some bad throws by Stafford, but I don't think it plays much into this one. Stafford is so good at moving in the pocket. His pocket presence is the best in football right now. The arm angles, the no-look throws. This guy's throwing 20-yard no-look crossing routes over the middle of the football field with safeties playing in pretty tight zone coverage. This dude is just playing. It's hard to fathom a quarterback playing as good as Matthew Stafford is right now. And I hate glazing him so much because he's the opponent on Sunday, but no matter how you slice it, he can dice you up. And that has me worried. And really the big question this Sunday is which San Francisco's defense shows up. Do you get the one against the Falcons and the Giants, who, albeit those offenses aren't very good, but they're playing good football. They're disciplined. They're tackling very well. They're getting off the field on third downs. They're excellent against the run. Or do you get the defense against the Texans, who's undisciplined? They're missing tackles on third down. They're allowing 3rd and 7 conversions at a consistent rate. They're blowing coverages. There's miscommunications all over the place. Which defense will we see of the San Francisco 49ers this Sunday? You'd love to believe it's the one against the Falcons and Giants, who we've seen play really good football when they're on their game. And I think that's in San Francisco's capabilities. They're a well-coached team. Saleh usually has their guys ready to go. And against the Rams, I expect them to be ready to go. But there always is that fear in the back of at least my head that if they're not, and it is the latter, like against the Houston Texans, the Rams are going to put up 35 points. And this game's not going to be close whatsoever. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I think, Niners defense is really young, and I just know they get amped up, they get overzealous, they get over eager, and all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, you're down by 25 or 24 by halftime. That's a real chance, or that's a very possible outcome Sunday against Los Angeles at home at Levi's Stadium. The last thing you want to do is get bounced at your own place. It happened to the Rams. We laughed, we joked. I think my highest shorts video of all time was after that game on our social media channels, simply because we Niner fans love to clown the Rams. and they want to repay that favor. They're playing good football. They've won 3 games in a row. They're feeling themselves. Rams are probably right now a top 5 team in football. I wouldn't be shocked to see maybe some people put the Rams number 2 behind the Eagles in the NFC when it's all said and done, and maybe somebody has them at number 1. That's how good their offense is, and that's how worried I am about San Francisco's defense on Sunday. It's just stopping Matthew Stafford. Can you do it? I don't have much fear in stopping Puka Nacua or Davante Adams too much. It really is the facilitator of the offense. Can you slow him down? I think one of the biggest keys in this game is the 49ers linebackers. Without Fred Warner, you can escape games against, Michael Penix, and you can be in games against CJ Stroud, and you can win games against a rookie Jackson Dart. But when you play Matthew Stafford, who has seen every coverage, who has faced every linebacker, who has faced every defensive coordinator, it doesn't really bode well for you. And Tatum Bethune, for as much as I love him, for the admiration I have for him, for as great of a tackler as he has been in 2 of his now 3 starts, for as good of a run defender as he has been in those games as well, the coverage skills have been lacking. He's not Fred Warner. The expectation isn't for him to be Fred Warner, but it's a big downgrade if you ask me. And I think if you're Matthew Stafford, you're licking your chops against guys like D. Winters and Bethune, mainly Bethune though, where I have said for years and years, Fred Warner is the great eraser of the middle of the football field. Bethune is not that. Bethune would let Matthew Stafford go to the chalkboard, write something down, erase it, rewrite it over and over and over again. And you're hoping that Saleh can put those guys in the right place this Sunday to succeed. But I think Stafford will look early to expose Bethune in this one. And I think if he hits and they don't adjust, it could be a long day for San Francisco's linebackers. I'm expecting the middle of the football field to be relatively wide open for the Rams. I also wouldn't be shocked to see maybe San Francisco utilize some soft zone coverage at times. I don't know if you can blitz that much, which I think would help them in this one. And Stafford's already the best quarterback against the blitz in football this year. So again, it doesn't matter how you try to scheme against him. You're going to be in for a long day no matter what. And it's more about how can you limit him early and hold him off late. San Francisco got a big boost in week 5 against LA in SoFi Stadium because they had that first long 8-minute drive to pretty much eat up an entire first quarter of playing, got a really fast 3-and-out against the Rams on their first drive. I'm expecting that not to be the case against Los Angeles. This Sunday, thus putting more pressure on San Francisco's defense to perform and play up to the bill. The Rams have also shifted their offense a lot in the last 3 weeks. Once they lost to San Francisco, there was an effort to make sure their offense got back on track. And they have pretty much gone away from 11 personnel. They're running more 10 and 12 player personnel. They want to spread defenses out. They want to get linebackers on islands over the middle. They want to get cornerbacks playing more man coverage. They want to have the cornerbacks reliant on communication. And they want to be aggressive. They want to take shots downfield, but they also, again, want to get guys alone in man coverage or eating up soft zones over the middle and just kind of really just once you spread guys out, the more grass open to you, the odds are Stafford will find guys to complete the pass to. And I think that's what they want to do on Sunday against San Francisco. I think it's a big detriment to San Francisco to not have Fred Warner out there. I do trust the Niners safeties or cornerbacks, not safeties, excuse me. Green's playing at a higher level now than he was in week 5 against the Rams. Upton Stout starting to pick things back up. He wasn't great against the Houston Texans, but bounced back against the Giants. If that can continue on Sunday against LA, I think they have a fighting chance to win this one. And Demo is obviously great playing physical cornerback play on the right-hand side of the defense. However, if I'm the Rams, I would love to target San Francisco downfield, mainly Jair Brown consistently. The Niners coverage has been pretty piss poor over the top ever since Jair Brown has taken over. And before that, it really wasn't much better under Marquise Siegel. I would love San Francisco to find somebody else to play free safety or that side of the field as safety. But I just don't trust Jair Brown at all. His big PBU against the Giants was a drop touchdown pass by the New York wide receiver. It wasn't because he did much to help. Um, I love Demo. I love Green. Stout's playing better. Hopefully it continues. But a rookie against Matthew Stafford, how do you adjust? He wasn't great in his first game against them. Can you play a more competitive brand of football against Stafford and company in your second matchup against him? I hope so, but the odds are McVay's going to have guys running in space pretty wide open in this one unless San Francisco is disciplined in their zones, passes things off, and communicates. That was a big, big problem against the Houston Texans. Also a problem against the Rams in quarters 3 and 4 when they played them the first time. So, there is definitely a big concern there that these Rams receivers are going to gash this Niners secondary over and over again. Nacua, Adams, Whittington. And you're just kind of going to be in for a sit back and relax and enjoy the Matthew Stafford show, which I hate that. I really hate that. And look, the Rams certainly have their holes offensively. They can't run the football, or they haven't run the football very well. I really do like Kyren Williams, but he has a fumbling problem. You saw it on display week 5 against San Francisco. And right now, they're kind of a middling rushing attack. They're about in the mid-teens, 16, 17, 18, 15 when it comes to yards per attempt and yards per game. They've gone away from that wide zone, inside zone, ground and pound, Stafford play action, Goff play action stuff. It is more of a drop back, 7-step, 5-step, 3-step, bing, bang, boom. Stafford has you beat, across the entire landscape of the field. So, you can maybe argue the Rams view this as no Michael Williams, no Nick Bosa, no Yetur Gross-Matos. Maybe you can beat San Francisco over the middle. Maybe a lack of run defense certainly can turn things around, and maybe the Rams operate that way instead on the ground. But I think Matthew Stafford's dropping back 35 plus times in this one. And if you can't get to him, that's a nightmare. And even if you could, still, he's going to get you, man. Some of you might be out there saying, Sterling, like Stafford often plays down to San Francisco at times. He'll make a few mistakes. And I think to a certain extent, that's right. And I think this game will solely rely on his ability to beat San Francisco's defense through the air. If you're playing soft off zone coverage and giving Stafford 7 free yards, 6 free yards every single play, he's going to take it. He'll take risks for sure, but it's not as if the Rams need to get to the red zone to score points against you, right? Right now, they are about in the red zone 4.4 times per game. That's first in football, so 4.5 times per game. That leads the NFL basically. But they're also the 13th best red zone scoring offense, meaning like week 5, they can kind of score from anywhere, and they're going to score often. They're putting up, 28 points, 26 points a game against opposing defenses. It's not really where you want to be if you're San Francisco, kind of on your heels. There's some reports that people in the building, could be Saleh, could be somebody else, are not happy with the inaction at the deadline. Well, if you feel hindered, if you feel like your front office let you down, not to say you would purposefully lose a game or coach bad to prove a point, because there really is no point in doing that. But I think it may motivate San Francisco instead to say, okay, it's all we got. We have to make do with what we have and kind of, make some chicken salad out of what against Los Angeles. And I think there is a way San Francisco can beat the Rams. I told you just now, all the reasons why I think the Rams may have San Francisco's number. Basically, it's Matthew Stafford and the lack of coverage success San Francisco has had, at least in a couple games so far this year. But the Niners are not, lame ducks. There's been this kind of, I guess, Twitter or social media talk that San Francisco, the season's over, they're 6-3, they didn't make a trade deadline, they're punting. It's not the case. San Francisco is not punting on the season. They just realize who they are. And who they are is a good team, good enough team to go to the playoffs, in my opinion. But also realize that the Rams and Seahawks are probably better than them this year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's kind of the case. At least those two teams are playing better football than San Francisco's playing this season. But that said, I think San Francisco, amongst every team in football, all 32 of them, has been one of the most consistent teams all year. Think of every game you've seen as far as San Francisco. Besides the Jaguars game, which Brock Purdy threw 2 picks and it wasn't a great one from him, and it just wasn't a good game from the run defense, and the Houston Texans game, so 2 outliers in 9 games. Um, the 7 other ones have been a one-score, basically, fight to the finish, where the run defense has been pretty good. The defense has held the opposing team under 24, 22 points, and the offense has scored just enough, and they've been really good on special teams. That's kind of what I expect on Sunday. San Francisco is not going to get out coached. Um, they're not going to be, terrible. Yeah, you could have a game like the Houston Texans against one of the best offenses in football, sure. But the odds are San Francisco is going to play their brand of football. They're going to play this slow, kind of methodical offense. They're going to play this bend don't break defense, and they're going to hope to hold on and score just enough to beat you. That's who they've been all year. They're not going to run away with games. The Giants game last Sunday feels like kind of one of those outliers where they play so much better because the Giants are terrible. But they've been really consistent all year. Like 7 of their 9 games have been almost the exact same every time. And so if you can play that brand of football, you're going to have a really good chance to win most of your games throughout the year. Some teams are better than you. Some teams are worse than you. But I think for the most part, being 6-3 is nothing to write off for San Francisco because the way they're winning is translatable over as the season goes on, at least from what I can see from the red and gold through 9 games this year. That was why San Francisco could lose. I think why they can win. I think the Rams' numbers are really skewed. You mentioned the defense, the rushing attack, the scoring offense, how good they are. That's great and all, but really ever since they played San Francisco, and they're playing good football, no one's saying they're not. They're a really good team. I think the Rams are better than San Francisco is, but we know this. The NFL is a game of matchups, man. Like, you can be playing, you can riding high. The Niners could be 5-0, 12-0, 13-0. The minute they play a Brian Flores Vikings defense or a Jim Schwartz Browns defense, who they play this year, I might add, we know, trap game, we know, watch out. That's going to cause some problems for Kyle Shanahan. And I think that while the Rams are a really good team, their success, I do think, is somewhat overrated. The Rams have won games in their last 3 games. So 4 weeks, including a bye week. Their last 3 games have been against the Ravens, without Lamar Jackson. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who have won and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, beat the San Francisco 49ers, but are really inconsistent. I don't know who they are. They're like, 1 week they're amazing. Next week they're bad. The Saints, who are terrible. We've seen it firsthand. Terrible. And the Rams played that same Saints team without Spencer Rattler and a Tyler Shugg making his NFL debut. Not exactly the best opponents or litmus tests for how good the Rams are. Now, again, I think they're good. I think they're really good. The offense, like, that translates over to any game, but the Ravens defense, besides the last 2 games before they played the Rams, was atrocious. They were selling off pieces early in the year. That's how bad they were. Jacksonville, again, they're inconsistent, and the Ravens the Saints are just god awful. Can you buy into that? Does that really sell you? Now, San Francisco's played the Giants, and they've beaten the Falcons, and they've beaten the Cardinals and the Saints, but they've also beaten the Rams and Seahawks. I could argue that the Niners have better wins on their schedule all year than the Rams have had in the last 3 weeks. And I don't think that's crazy to say. I don't think it's wild to think that the Niners' 2 wins against the Seahawks and the Rams, which may not hold up throughout the rest of the year, are better than what the Rams have done the last 3 weeks. Their most impressive win was beating the Colts in week 4 before they played San Francisco on Thursday Night Football in week 5. And even that game, we talked about it when it happened. if A.D. Mitchell, who was now traded to the Jets because he was so bad for Indianapolis, didn't drop the football at the 1 yard line, the Colts win that game too. Like, I just, it's not that I'm not sold on the Rams. They're a good team. They're 6-2. That matters. The record plays. But, you know, that defense can be had. And that is where I think San Francisco, can really, if they are going to win this game, that's how they're going to win. Passing the football, taking advantage of the Rams right now, pretty bad defense, albeit playing better because they're playing worse offenses on the other side. But their secondary is a glaring issue. They made one trade for Roger McCreary. He's a fine young player, but so far this year, the Rams cornerbacks are allowing a 92.2 passer rating when targeted. And I know it doesn't matter too much to some people, but I think size does matter. San Francisco's receivers, that being Demarcus Robinson, Jawan Jennings, and Kendrick Bourne, have at least a 2-inch size height difference than their cornerbacks. They're small. They're feisty, but they're small dudes. They're not lengthy. And I think that the Niners receivers who are bigger body guys can actually bully or at least move around and kind of body up the Rams secondary. You saw it in week 5 against the Rams early in the year, albeit no McCreary. Kendrick Bourne 8. They're playing soft zone coverage, but if you do that again, I'm not expecting it, but I'm also believing that the Niners receivers have an edge over the Rams secondary, despite not having Pearsall or Aiyuk back thus far this season. McCreary, who is their kind of quote unquote big free agent or big trade acquisition, young guy, but also despite him taking over Emmanuel Forbes' job, most likely, who was terrible for the Rams. Even he this season, albeit in a pretty bad scheme on a really bad defense, is allowing a 85% catch rate and 156 yards of yak. Like, it's not very good. I get it. They're a young guy. Get him in your defense. Hope you can grow, play with better defensive linemen. And hopefully, he can improve. I get that, right? I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying on an island, he's not been, the greatest cornerback and really has been equal to how bad the Rams' other cornerbacks have been this season. And when you move down to the linebackers for Los Angeles, who were beaten by Jake Tunges for 7 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown pass in week 5 against San Francisco. Well, yeah, Warner's out and Bosa's out and Micah Williams is out. Well, now George Kittle's in. And I'm sorry, George Kittle owns the Rams. He always has. And with him roaming over the middle, it's a big mismatch. And really, just think about how San Francisco won last time. It was the Christian McCaffrey underneath checkdown show and a Mac Jones, basically Jimmy Garoppolo 5 yards per attempt passing game. Now you add George Kittle into the fray, better blocker, better run blocker. It can hopefully help your pass protection, which wasn't great against the Rams, but held up just enough in week 5. And now you can have a pretty much X factor now as a wide receiver. They didn't have that against the Rams in week 5. That's a big upgrade for San Francisco for a variety of reasons and really helps them in 3 different aspects on the offense. Now, like I already said, I'm not expecting Los Angeles to play soft off-zone coverage the entire time like week 5, but I do believe the Niners receivers can bully the Rams secondary with physical play, utilizing their size, and I think that, that's not out of the question. I think the Rams, they knew coming into the year, we're not going to have the best secondary. They're banking on their front four to get things done, get to the quarterback and wreak some havoc. And hopefully the secondary can take advantage of that. Now, Quentin Lake is awesome. He was in week 5. He has been all year for the Rams, but besides that, he'll probably play free safety or in the nickel. But I mean, come on. Like, even Rams fans know secondary's a problem. They were begging for a Sauce Gardner. They were begging for Jalen Ramsey again. They're begging for other guys that can be an elite lockdown cornerback, and they don't have that guy. And I think San Francisco, even with Mac Jones, but with Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey leading their offense, with now George Kittle back in the fray and a healthier Jawan Jennings, who didn't play in that game, I don't think, against the Rams in week 5. It's a big deal. Like, this Niners offense is better than what the Rams played early in the season, and that Niners offense beat that Rams defense. pretty badly, if I may add. They scored 26 points in 5 quarters because of overtime, but throughout that game, Mac Jones was just dinking and dunking, took everything they gave him, and I think that's probably not going to be translatable into this one, but um, Niners can do more things offensively now than they couldn't do with Jennings and Kittle back in the fray, at least against this Rams defense on Sunday. And, you know, I don't know how much of a factor this plays because San Francisco's rushing attack has been so inconsistent, but I think it's worth mentioning that it may finally be hitting its stride. And I know it sounds crazy. You play the Falcons, who are a terrible run defense. You play the Giants, who are the worst run defense in football. How much does that matter? How much do you take that into account? I don't know, but I think it's worth saying that a confident Niners offense that is starting to find momentum on the ground, albeit against bad run defenses, I think it matters mentally. Oh, we can do this. Okay. Oh, Spencer Burford's both back playing left guard. Ben Barch might come back. Your offensive line's playing better. Matt Hennessy's involved in there in some capacity playing starting center. Like the offensive line's playing better too, especially on the ground. And I think it matters. Like they've gone from rushing for 3.1 yards a carry for most of the season to now up to about 4.4 yards per carry. And I think it matters. I think that they've hit 100 plus yards in 2 of their last 3 games. And albeit the Rams' run defense is good, they're also allowing 4.4 yards per carry over the last 3 weeks against the Saints, who don't run the football very well at all. Alvin Kamara is Father Time has come a knocking. And you play in the Jaguars, who, again, inconsistent. They get behind, the game's close, and Liam Cohen, for as good of a coach as he may be, like there's problems out there in Jacksonville still. They're trying to work out in their first season. And then Derrick Henry runs for 24 carries and 124 yards against this Rams defense. And that's without Lamar Jackson, with the Rams knowing the Ravens are gonna run the football. Why can't San Francisco have the exact same success the Ravens did? They want to run the football 30 times a game. Brian Robinson averaged 10.8 yards per carry against the Giants. Even if that is cut in half, it's 4.5 yards per carry against the Rams. I think it's plausible. I think it's doable. I think there is a good chance the Niners offense looks more like itself. Maybe the best it ever has all year. Now that's crazy to say. I get that. I know it's a stretch. Maybe I'm feeling the Niners too much now, but I do think that we need some confidence. I think that the Niners know that their back's against the wall in some capacity. You don't make a trade at the deadline. Okay. Go after it, eat, be more confident in yourself. You have to win games. This is what you have. Make do. And I think if there is any coaching staff good enough at making do with what they have, it is Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. And the offense has a lot more ammunition, and the defense does. Like I already said, Kittle, Jennings, Bourne, who's had a pretty good year for San Francisco, Christian McCaffrey, obviously, is the key to this one offensively. You feed CMC, you're probably going to be in for a win. That's how things work. And if you don't, you're probably going to be in for a loss. I already mentioned the offensive line playing better. They're playing with more aggression. They're more versatile. The left guards can pull block now. Centers can also pull block. Like the Niners offense is playing exactly how you want it to coming into a game like this. They're relatively healthy offensively now, minus Pearsall and Purdy, obviously, and Aiyuk. But I think they're going to give Mac Jones a fighting chance. The offensive line will, the run game will, and the receivers hopefully should. Mac Jones is playing good football. Is it perfect? No, but he's playing quick. He's accurate. He's on point. He's not making many mistakes. His one mistake against the Giants was basically McKivitz getting beat around the end, which I think is the biggest concern for San Francisco's offense. When you play bad teams, you hope your defense takes advantage of that. And the Rams defense certainly has. Over the last 3 weeks, the Rams defense has 71 pressures. 71 pressures. That's like 27 per week, right? It's a lot. I think they had 35, 37 against Jacksonville. It was bad, like bad. And that's from coverage guys, cornerbacks, nickelbacks, safeties, defensive linemen. Like it's a whole defense pressure total, but that's a big number. And there is concerns of McKivitz against Jared Verse and Byron Young, and a big tough task for Pooney and Hennessy and Burford picking up stunts and blitzes because the Rams will bring pressure. I think the Rams, they're not going to run that soft off zone crap when they're blitzing. They know that. Like that's not going to happen on Sunday. And if it does, then Chris Shule is an idiot. But he's not an idiot, so I don't expect that. But I think that, again, there's things to not like. McKivitz has played against Will Anderson, and he's played against Brian Burns, and he's gotten burnt and he's gotten beat. And now he's playing Jared Verse again, who I think he held up really good against last time. But you get beat up, you're getting bruised. You play a powerful guy like Verse, you can get bullied around. I think it's probably going to happen somewhat. Mac Jones is probably going to get sacked a handful of times. But you're hoping hold on to the football and live to fight another down. NFC West games are different, man. Division games are different. Doesn't matter how good you are, how bad you are. It seems like you always have a chance. The Cardinals have been bad for a long time. They always give San Francisco a fight. San Francisco, in their bad years, have given the Rams a fight every single time. The Niners won 2 games in 1 year, beat the Rams twice in that year. Those were their only 2 wins. And vice versa goes for the Rams too. They haven't been good in some years and they've beaten San Francisco, right? And the Seahawks too. Division games are different. Wild things happen, crazy things happen. And I think San Francisco is riding the wave. And I think that they're kind of, not to say infallible, but to some degree, I think they're kind of just like, look, we've been injured so much. We've been beaten up and broken, and crazy things have happened. Guys that come back, oh, they're going to play on Sunday, then bing, bang, they're out for the rest of the year because of a hamstring strain they suffer in 1 rep in practice. I think they can kind of weather the storm. Now, how long, I don't know. We'll see when the year's over, but I do think San Francisco is willing to ride the wave, if you will. Hence why no deadline moves, but also I think that, it just, I just think they're kind of willing to take what the NFL gives them, whether it's on a per game situation or a per week situation. They just feel like somebody that can take a brunt of your hit and keep walking. Now, at some point, your legs give out, and I think San Francisco has a ceiling to how far they can go this year, but beating the Rams is not out of the question. I didn't give them a chance week 5. They weren't as healthy on offense. Now they're more banged up on defense now, but if those things offset, then it's kind of even itself out. Now, I've already told you, Stafford scares me. Puka Nacua scares me, as they should. Those, the Rams have kind of unlocked that post corner fade in the end zone with Davante Adams. That's scary. And again, there's a chance this game can get ugly really fast. But I just don't see San Francisco giving in. This team has a ton of fight. Like there was dog and all these guys. They're resilient. They're still young, and they're going to fight and scratch and claw their way for 4 quarters if they have to, even if they're getting beat by a lot. Like, take the Texans game, for example. They got beat by a lot, right? They didn't allow 30 points, and they were even 1 score away in that game at some point. And look, the Rams are a lot better than the Houston Texans are, but still, and my point still stands, that the Niners are not going to get boat raced by somebody. At least it's unlikely. Could it? Sure. And the Rams have the offense capable of doing those things, but I just think that the Niners can take a few punches and keep going. What's the old Rocky quote? It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. It isn't the fight in the dog, it's the dog in the fight, or you know what I mean. And so I just have maybe it's kind of homer take, whatever. I just do have some confidence in the 49ers. They can beat the Rams this Sunday. And now, will they? We'll wait for my predictions at the end of the show. But San Francisco also has the edge on special teams. You look at the so far this year for the Rams and Niners, Eddie Pinheiro has been money. Missed one kick all year. It was his first one. It was an extra point. Since then, perfect on field goals. He's just been ice cold. I think people point to the whole Purdy and Mac Jones debate. Look at Mac Jones is doing now. If you were to give him Purdy this defense playing bend don't break all year and Pinheiro, last year's Niners might be a playoff team. I don't think that's too crazy to say. Maybe it is, and they weren't great by any means, but I don't think. Go back and watch those games. You play bend don't break defense, and you give them an actual functional or functioning kicker. The team probably wins about 4 of their 7 one-score games, and they're probably somewhere in the playoffs. But that said, it's not a knock on Mac Jones or a knock on Purdy. Just saying that that's how good San Francisco's been on special teams this year. They went from the dead last, 32nd worst ranked special teams unit in football last year to now the 9th ranked. Yeah, they jumped up. What is that? I don't know. Math is hard. You do 9 minus 32, blah, 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 what, 23 spots? They jumped 23 spots in 9 weeks, 10 weeks because of Brant Boyer and Eddie Pinheiro. Like, that's a big difference maker in a season like this. I've said over and over again on special teams. Pinheiro's been, besides Mac Jones, the biggest signing they've had. And of course, Saleh, he's saved them so many times. He's won them so many games. Saints game, Cardinals game, Rams game. Hit a big 55 or 57-yard career-long field goal against the Rams the last time they played. He's been so clutch. On the flip side, where San Francisco has the advantage, the Rams kicker stinks. We saw him miss kicks week 5 against the 49ers. We saw him botch a kickoff against San Francisco too in that game. In his last 4 games, he's missed 3 field goals. So far this year, he has a 66.7% field goal percentage. That is 37th in football. To give you more perspective, that is worse than Jake Moody was last year. They brought in a new kicker. I don't know if he makes a team or anything, but they're looking for more help because Joshua Carty is not him. You are not him. And he's been really bad. The Rams also have been really bad on kickoffs. I think they are allowing the 3rd most return yards per kick this year, and they lead the entire NFL in touchdown percentage at about 45% this year. So Sky Moore and Brian Robinson do not take the ball out of the end zone on kicks. It's a near guaranteed 35-yard line start for every single drive this game. Don't take it out. Help your offense. Give them a free 15 yards. The Rams will give it to you and maybe even more. That's how bad they've been on special teams this year. This game's going to be close. I know I've laid out all the reasons why San Francisco can win and given you many as to why they can lose. I don't know if it's the optimist in me where maybe I sound crazy, maybe I sound nuts, maybe I just sound, like a homer. I do buy into the fact that San Francisco has a fighting chance any given Sunday. Al Pacino. It's a Dunkachino, right? Now, on the flip side, the Rams are really good. Now, somewhat jaded. Stats are skewed. I already laid that out for you, but the Rams are really good. And when Stafford feels himself, it's like a hot knife going through butter. And I don't know. I am somewhat skeptical of the Niners' coverage ability to stop Stafford in this one. Crazy things can happen. I've seen crazier things happen. Go watch the freaking Bengals and Bears game this past Sunday. Oh my God. Go watch the Buccaneers-Jets game earlier in the season. There's been a lot of nutty finishes. Packers-Browns, Cowboys-Packers. There's been so many crazy finishes to the games this year. So seeing one wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know, guys. To begin the year, picked San Francisco to split games against the Rams. I picked them to split games against the Cardinals, and I picked them to split games against the Seahawks. Now, I did pick the Niners to lose early in the season, and I picked them to lose early in the season in my schedule release predictions. That didn't happen. And so, do I stay true to myself and say, you know what, Niners are more banged up now. The odds would kind of lean in the Rams' favor. You beat them at home. They're going to return the favor on the Niners this Sunday. Or do I say screw it and pick San Francisco? I think as someone that has a journalism degree, someone that sees the writing on the wall, San Francisco has to win 4 more games. Be 10-7. You're probably a wild card team, probably a playoff team. I think that is the goal. You have 3 more divisional games in a game against the Colts. Then you have the Cardinals too. You have the Cardinals, you have the Panthers, you have the Browns, the Titans, and the Bears. You win 4 of those games, you're in. At least I think so. The odds you are the 2024 Seattle Seahawks, probably pretty slim, being 10-7 and not going to the playoffs. But I think we can all agree this game's probably a chalked up loss, at least on paper. Now, you got to play the game. San Francisco certainly has a chance. I think this one will be equally as close as the last one. But I think being true to myself, true to my heart, and kind of betraying my fandom here for a second, for all the reasons I said the Niners could win, I do believe they're going to lose on Sunday against the LA Rams. I have them losing 27-23. It'll be close. I think the Rams will do just enough. I think there'll be some shenanigans. I think Stafford's on a heater. I think they want revenge. Maybe there is an aspect of the Rams playing some bad teams, coming into San Francisco, kind of maybe being too nonchalant. I wouldn't, say that's not a possible outcome. I think it is. Quite frankly, anything could happen on Sunday. That's how wild the year has been in the NFL. That's how crazy San Francisco season has been so far. Anything can happen. That said, I just think that at some point you play really good teams or better teams than you, and I think the Rams are a better team than San Francisco is. The Rams really should have won that game against the Niners early in the year. They made some critical mistakes. I don't think that'll happen again. I hope I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong. Beating the Rams twice with this Niners roster? Oh my God. Like, the Rams can never talk again. They wanted to call themselves big bros after beating the Niners twice last year. Beating them with this roster without Warner and Purdy and Pearsall and Bosa and Micah Williams. My God, the Rams can never talk again. There probably won't be 10 Rams fans in the entire stands on Sunday at Levi Stadium. And wouldn't that be something? But I don't know. I just have this weird feeling that the Niners, there is some weird juju happening right now. Trade deadline, nothing happened. Niners not punting, but not going all in. It was a good idea, in my opinion, but I just think you run into a buzzsaw on Sunday. You bounce back, I think, soon. Like, winning against the Giants means you can afford to lose this one. At least that was my expectation for the year. Be 10-7 in the wild card team. Rams probably win the division when the season wraps. But I think winning against the Giants affords San Francisco a loss this Sunday. Hopefully you bounce back against the Kyler Murray-less Cardinals in Week 11 and beat the Panthers in Week 12, get back on track, be 8-4. Going into Week 13, it's very doable, very possible. Maybe at that time you're healthier on offense. Pearsall, Purdy could be back. Who knows? My assumption is Pearsall is right now entering Week 6 of his PCL injury. It's a 6 to 8 week injury. They didn't tell you that, so I am. Not sure why they couldn't give you that timeline, but he'll probably be back after Week 13, post-bye week at the latest. He's almost there. It just takes time, guys. Be patient. And Purdy did look more spry in practice, so I don't think he'll play this Sunday, but he's almost there. He's almost there, and hopefully he can get there very soon and stay healthy when he does. But I have San Francisco losing this one 27-23. Tell me down below in the comments why you are telling me I'm crazy and I'm nuts and you're buying the San Francisco 49er Kool-Aid, or maybe why you agree with me and you're saying, yeah, Sterling, the clock is ticking on San Francisco's season, and this game probably is not going to go in their favor. Drop your comments down below. Follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X, and 49ers .access is the Instagram. If you want to watch your San Francisco 49ers play this year, they're 6-3, could be 7-3, could be 6-4. If you want to watch them play this Sunday and beyond, use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. They are in the thick of things. They are not punting. The season is not over. Give them a chance. They certainly have it on Sunday against the LA Rams, but we'll see how that game goes. Until next time, though, my name is Sterling Bennett, and as always, stay faithful.